everyone. My name is Celine Evans.
And I'm Chris Evans.
And welcome to Georgia Living Podcast, episode 27.
Woo! It's good to be back. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. If you're joining us on YouTube, then please hit that little subscribe button and the bell so you get notified when we come out with some new content here. It's been busy as always, but we've had some really great stuff happening, both with the family. We've made some progress with some things around the house. And later on, we're going to talk about what's happening in this real estate market and how a first-time home buyer can take advantage of real estate in this world where prices have soared. So we're going to talk about some little hacks, ways that you can get into real estate. And we'll also talk about, as always, why. Why do you even want to take the hard steps that are required in order to do this? So we've got a great episode for you. Celine, why don't you let us know what's happening recently?
Yeah.
What have we been up to?
I think everyone can feel the end of the school year coming. I really do. I think the kids can feel it too, because they're already planning for the 5th grade send off, you know, and then the wrapping up testing and stuff like that. So I think they know that it's coming.
Oh, they know.
So I'm not looking forward to the heat. That's the one thing I don't like about Georgia, is that it gets so hot.
You know, God bless Glenn Burns, our former WSB chief meteorologist who's now retired and still forecasts the weather for Atlanta. He was saying that usually we don't get this level of heat until like June, July. And over the next few weeks, we might be looking at starting to get some of those late shower, like the late summer thunderstorms in spring, in April. It's possible. Really? It's ridiculous. Yeah.
We had a weird winter.
It's going to be it is a hot summer this year.
Oh, so, you know, my background as a veterinarian, a lot of these dogs around here absolutely hate these thunderstorms. They are loud. They're not like the Texas thunderstorms. I mean, they are, but you know, you can't see for miles on miles because our land is not flat at all. We're at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, so they're really pretty much every house is on some sort of slope. If you're flat, then you're really rare. You know, I think a flat land is in like Albany or below middle Georgia, I think.
Yeah, you've got that line, basically I-16 is where, you know, long time ago, that part of Georgia used to be underwater, so it's flat, right? Yeah. It's kind of, what, is it the gnat line?
It's the fall line.
The gnat line.
You call it the gnat line, it's the fall line.
Well, if you go south of it, then you're just covered in gnats everywhere you go.
Yes.
That's why it's the gnat line.
Yes, it is very commonly called that, but it's actually the fall line, to where you have that level drop off.
Yeah, it goes from mountainous to Piedmont. Yeah.
Topographically, that's what I wanted to say.
There you go.
Anyways, what I was saying is that our thunderstorms are something, because the lightning is spectacular.
The
and
humidity.
Sometimes I've actually, you know, just opened the garage door to stare at it because it's so pretty too. And is it frightening? Yeah.
I love southern storms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs don't, though.
No, definitely not.
So you might have to think about that a little earlier this year, according to Glenn Burns. But you've been working on the boat.
Yeah, so almost done. We got, I've been working in the driveway the last couple of weeks off and on, getting it ready for this summer, because last year we really didn't use it. We were busy. We traveled a lot. So our goal is to get out on the water as much as we can this year. So went through, did the oil change, new spark plugs, new fuel filter, kind of got the boat tuned up, ready to go. We've got the fish finder, which I still have to screw in the transducer, but then that's done. We did a vinyl wrap on the exterior, and now we just need our hull numbers and to take the boat to the lake.
That fish finder is so laughable, though, because we never find fish. We
find them, we just don't catch them on the lake.
We're great fishermen, fisher people in
rivers.
Alaska.
Yeah.
And I know how to floss, you know, with that. But when it comes to Georgia lakes, for some reason, we are empty-handed, even though there are fish.
I will chalk that up to lack of practice, because every time I've been on a lake, it has been with kids. I have never been
It
able
makes
to
so much
relax
noise. Yeah.
and to focus on actually what I'm doing. Except for I've been fishing without kids on a lake maybe 2 or 3 times.
You still didn't catch anything.
And no, because I was with guys, and the whole point was to hang out and really drink. So we weren't really fishing then either. So a few beers in, and who cares about what lures on? We're just kind of shooting the stuff and casting.
Well, so it's great because I like to go out to the lake too around this time, and you usually see like those deck boats, the pontoon boats.
That's us.
It's a treat whenever I go up north to just as a tourist in my own country. We don't see some of those boats, like sailboats maybe every once in a while, but like
there's a big yacht club on Lake Acworth.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that, like, compared to Annapolis, we don't see it like that, you know? We don't see the military ones going around because it's just our lake, so...
If you want to see that, you have to be on coastal Georgia. You have to be down by St. Mary's, Savannah, that's where you can get, like, the big schooners that are skirting the coast.
Bass boats.
Yeah, they're lake boats, houseboats. There's some yachts, but they're big, but they're lake big. They're not like ocean big. Yeah. It's so we've got from here in Marietta, we've got a few lakes that are fairly accessible, right? So if you're getting ready for the summer, you want to get out and really enjoy the outdoors. You want to go to a little beach, but you don't want to drive all the way down to like 30A for a week. Then check out there's Lake Altoona. And you can go over to Red Top Mountain, and they have Sandy Swim Beach and Picnic Coves, which also has a great paddleboard loop around Vineyard Mountain. And there's information there on Georgia State Parks. We'll have that in the show notes. Lake Acworth is... Acworth City prides itself on their outdoor recreation. Like that is what Acworth is known for. It's what their local government focuses on. And they have Cobble Park, which is a family-friendly beach. They don't allow any gas motors on Lake Acworth, so you got calm water. And they have evening concerts on the lawn. So we'll have some information for Acworth tourism there if you want to go and check it out and be a tourist in your own town.
What about my favorite lake, Carter's Lake?
Carter's Lake? Oh, I love Carter's Lake. Carter's Lake is... I don't know that I want to even talk about it because I don't want people going there. Carter's Lake is one of the most serene lakes in our state, I believe, because there's so little development on it.
I'm sure that Altoona and Acworth and Lanier used to be like that too.
I don't know. I mean, I certainly wasn't living here when that happened, but Carter's Lake there's no homes on Carter's Lake. So the homes on Carter's Lake, you can see them, but none of them have docks or piers or anything like that. Like it is steep. It's very mountainous. It's the deepest lake in the state of Georgia, and I think it's the deepest lake like east of the Mississippi River or something like that. Like there is it's like 450 feet deep at points. Mm-hmm. So you got to be careful there because you go down, nobody's going to find you.
I wonder what's down there.
I'm pretty sure bodies, but.
No. Talking about, remember when we lost our anchor and it just went down to the bottom?
We did lose an anchor.
You're macabre.
I always think the worst. I feel like
I was thinking of stuff.
I'm pretty sure there's some nefarious stuff down there.
Goodness. To be fair, we've been watching
Mobland on Paramount Plus, and that the new show that came out. Yeah,
of course that's going to be first on your mind.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness, you're going to scare everyone.
I doubt it. But Carter's Lake, definitely one to check out. It's a little bit further up there. If you want to get away for the weekend, I'd highly encourage you pick up an Airbnb in Ellijay. You're 20 minutes away from Carter's. You can also go to Blue Ridge, Lake Blue Ridge. That's a little bit further up. More development. Gorgeous lake also, but our 3 favorites right here, Lake Acworth, Altoona, and Carter's, closest to where we are. Now, we've been doing some work around your artwork.
Yes.
So tell us about that. What's new with you?
You know what? I feel like all my life I've just been going from one craft to another.
Yeah.
I think in like remember the scrapbooking phase?
Yeah.
Everyone went through, so I went through it too. I still have paper from that, which now our kids use for craft projects and Valentine's Day boxes and things. I'm fine with that.
It's repurposed.
Yes, it's so repurposed because I guess people realize that they don't want junk books laying around forever.
Everything's digital now.
They're so fun to look
Sad.
at, and there's something therapeutic about putting it all together too. So, went through that phase. What other phases did I go through? So, no, sewing. I still sew, but the latest one is oil painting.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point where I was like, I want to do something new that I've never done before. Never had any training, and it was oil painting that really interested me. My dad used to oil paint before he went to the Vietnam War, and unfortunately he doesn't anymore. I guess war changes a lot of people.
Definitely.
But I'm really finding this therapeutic, just to sit there and little by little, fill in the colors, squish the paint around, make sure that it's in the right place. And the way it dries is really cool because it doesn't dry, it oxidizes, so it keeps those shapes with the brushes. You can have like a brush strokeless piece of art, or you can have textured art with them in peaks and valleys, and it really adds character to that. So I know I'm ranting on and on about it.
No, but you love it. It's
I do.
You find passion in your ability to kind of zone out, focus on something, and
everyone needs something
and create
like that,
something,
right?
and but it has to have that creative. You have to create something.
Yeah, you create flies for fly fishing, which comes in handy because you use them. And I've almost caught a brookie. We went to somewhere near Helen.
Oh,
and I used
yeah,
one of
we were
your
at Duke's
lures.
Creek.
Yeah, Duke's Creek, and then I almost got one with yours, and you were so excited about that.
I was, but Archer spooked off the fish from where we were.
Well, he was excited about
that was the only bite of the day was on my fly that you got. So that was nice.
Yeah.
One of the things about
right.
fishing, if you're a real fisherman, you're probably lying a lot more than I am. I actually tell about the failures because there's a lot of them. There's more days with no fish than there are days with fish.
Well, so I have some projects, some pieces that I've already finished, and then we were like, okay, what do we do with this, right? We're going to frame it somehow.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Home Depot, which is synonymous with Atlanta. I mean, it's based here.
Headquartered here.
Yeah, it's headquartered
if you're in Georgia, you don't shop at Lowe's. You shop at Home Depot because we root for the home team here.
Well,
Home Depot, the Braves, that's it.
That's his opinion.
It is, totally.
We do have Lowe's, too. So, I have seen cars parked outside of Lowe's that people do go there.
I've driven by it.
You've driven by it.
I've seen people go there.
Well, we bought, I think, decorative chair railing, and then you're going to be cutting that to frame my artwork. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know. It's going to
be a little woodwork project.
Yeah, but I mean, because yes, you can get it framed, but then it's the cost of the professional framer. And, we went to Home Depot and we're like, this might work,
Yeah, we'll see.
This might work. We'll see. It'll be another episode where we're like, it worked or no, it didn't.
If it doesn't come out well, then you'll never hear about this project again. So you'll know, listening.
So my most current project is the top of Hatcher Pass in central Alaska. I guess you would call it central. It's kind of southern central. And
South Central.
And it's 2 panels long because it's a panoramic view. So I've got lots to do and lots to add on there. Lots of time to go still on it.
You've painted several of the images that I've taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it that it's like putting photos up in your house, but not.
Yeah.
Right? It's a painting of that.
It's like a level up.
Yeah.
It's like photography inception.
In a way.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that can go out to a park and then look at someone and then be like, aha, that's how you paint them, Like, if it doesn't stay still for me, I will forget where the shadows are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it'll just be a big blob on it. So I'm not very good at placing these things, especially if they're moving, like our kids, it's got to be a still shot of them. So I'm not that talented. That's a no-go for me. But you are talented when it comes to first-time home buying and helping people with that.
Nice segue.
That's the interesting segue between oil painting and first-time home buying. So make it happen.
Yeah.
Yep. So Freddie Mac's latest weekly survey, it sits at 6.83% for the 10-year Treasury spread. Here you go. You do this.
Yeah. So
you're more of the finance person.
Freddie Mac, they're one of the largest mortgage buyers. So when somebody takes out a mortgage, it's sold. Freddie Mac buys it, and they set a lot of the interest rates. So their survey is sitting at 6.83. This is Freddie Mac, so this is national average. Interest rates change depending upon where you are in the U.S. You okay there?
I keep dropping things. I'm sorry.
So, Georgia, I think we're hovering right around 6.5%. Got a chance to sit down with Rob Doer last week. We did a whole mortgage session, about 2 hours of Q&A on mortgages, and we're going to have that coming out. It's still in editing right now. That one will take a little bit. But Georgia's around 6.5. The 10-year Treasury spread, the 10-year Treasury is the most common investment. It's the closest related investment, let's put it that way. So the 10-year Treasury is like a first cousin to the mortgage. Mortgages are 30 years, you say. Well, that's because people don't keep their house for 30 years. On average, people live in their house about 8 to 10 years. So the loan will be in existence for 8 to 10 years. Somebody will move. They'll sell the house. The house payment from the buyer pays off the mortgage. The seller keeps the difference. And that's why that mortgage keeps itself around for about 10 years on average. Now, 10-year Treasury. This is the most fluid. This changes every day. Mortgages kind of track it. So when the Fed is talking about how much they're going to reduce rates, well, that will get priced into the 10-year Treasury well in advance of that rate drop happening. So this it's affected by volatility, uncertainty, risk. It's affected by expectations in the market. So there's a lot of variables that go into setting that 10-year Treasury. And when you see volatility comes from uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. All of these tariffs, are they going to go into effect? Are there going to be renegotiations? Will minds change? Will decisions change? All of these questions are fair, and everybody is asking them. And then when you see the market go up 3% one day and down 3% the next day, that is a direct correlation cause from the uncertainty. Uncertainty is volatility. Volatility is up, down, up, down. The more up and down, the greater the volatility. If it's a small up, down, it's a small volatility. So right now we're in a highly volatile market. We have been for the last few years because we have so many unknowns. There's powder kegs for potential wars across the globe. We have inflation that we're still battling here. We have an economy that is setting itself up for the next 30 to 50 years, 100 years of growth for the United States with this new advancement in AI. And the more I learn about this, the more insane it is and imperative that we do things first. Because a fraction of a minute makes a difference in this powerful computing power. So we have a lot of unknowns. We're all in this together with the unknown. What we do know is that there's going to be a massive shift over the next 20 to 30 years in how jobs are done, the type of jobs that are automated, the type of robotics that are going to be introduced. And all of this ends up bringing in questioning. When questioning happens, we end up with this kind of a world. So as we're talking about how this applies to real estate, we need to talk both principles and tactics, because principles are things that don't change, right? Books like The Richest Man in Babylon. That book has been around forever. The story's been around even longer. It talks about being a good steward of your money, your resources, your investments. Well, that was the same 3,000 years ago as it is today. We want to be good stewards of our resources, our money, our investments. How do we do that?
Or if they had money, like the equivalent of money. So say beads, right? I think Native Americans...
Whatever it might be.
I think beads was the currency.
Value,
long time ago.
Whatever your resource is.
Yes.
You want to be a good steward of it. Because history has told us if you waste your resources, it's bad for you. It's happened over and over and over again.
True.
Right? Buffalo, right? You waste the resources, we lose them. You know, you have to protect what you have. You have to conserve it for future generations. And the only way that an individual can do that easily is through real estate. Because if you own, then you have the ability, you have a resource to protect. If you don't own, you have no resource to protect. If you rent, the average net worth of a renter is about $8,000. That's gone up about $3,000 in the past, 5 or 6 years.
Sure, inflation.
And inflation has caused that.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because they've saved more. Like, they've probably lost money when you factor in inflation, right? $5,000 6 years ago is worth more than $8,000 today. Mm-hmm. Your average net worth of a homeowner is... it was $205,000. I think now it's closer to $280,000 because of the equity that has appreciated with the inflation. But not only that, here's one thing that you have to pay attention to, because when you're talking about real estate, you're not thinking in timelines of 12 to 24 months. You're thinking in timelines of 30 to 50 years for your family and your life. Because today, if I went out and bought a house, let's call it a $250,000 house, that payment is probably going to be around $2,200 a month.
I don't know.
$2,300 a month, give or take. And if I bought that same house 6 years ago,
14 maybe.
That would be, 12.
Yeah.
$1,200 a month, $1,300 a month.
Yeah.
Now, why does that make sense? Why am I harping on this? Well, because the best time to buy a real estate was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Why? Because if you own it today, you lock that price in. Is it expensive today? Yes. Does that price go down over time? Yes. And this is what people don't talk about. The price, when you own a house and you let that mortgage sit and you just focus on paying it off, that price actually decreases over time because of inflation. If I took out a $200,000 loan in 2017 to buy a house, that house is now worth, I don't know, $450,000 over 7 years. Well, the payment is $1,400 a month because I took it out 7 years ago. Today, that payment is $2,400 a month. I pay $1,400. Somebody today pays $2,400.
Sure, because they're paying today's prices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Couple that with inflation, right? Mm-hmm. A $200,000 mortgage is, let's say inflation's gone up 30%. So you're actually reducing the value of that mortgage by 30%. So effectively, a $200,000 mortgage in 2017 is worth, I don't know, let's call it it would be a $140,000 mortgage today, because the dollar has gone up or devalued by 30%, so my mortgage devalues by 30% too.
That gap between renter and homeowner is getting bigger and bigger and bigger right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's almost like ripping a Band-Aid off just to get to the homeowner status.
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
It's always been hard. Right? When you're starting off, I remember when we started off, getting that first emergency fund, just having a little bit of money set aside was a game changer for us, because then we were able to start not putting it on a credit card when an unexpected bill came up. We didn't
use credit cards.
did when we
have.
first started,
Yeah.
quickly stopped because that was a bad spiral. I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
And
Everyone does.
yeah, and you learn how you operate,
Sure.
right? And then you learn how you can do your finances.
You were in
Everybody's
your
different.
20s.
So the payment versus the percentage, right? The percentage changes. The payment is what's important here, though, because that payment is going to go down over time relative to your income. Your income will go up. So what happens if you don't own a home? Well, if you don't own a home today and you don't own a home in 5 years, you're going to continue paying variable rates, market rates. Bad business decision. Do you think Delta just goes and buys gas whenever they need it? No. They lock in their rates for 10, 15, 20 years. And they do so because it lets them operate like an efficient business. If you want to operate your life like an efficient business and be successful here, you have to structure it. And when you own a house, you lock that in. Now, but Chris, the average person lives in their house for 10 years. Why would I want to lock something in and just move? Well, when you make that payment, you're paying down debt, which means that you're building equity in the deal. The value of the mortgage is going down over time. And then you're also getting market appreciation. So while I'm living somewhere, I'm getting 5% growth per year, 4% growth per year. And that's on the value of the house, not on the mortgage that I have. So as that value goes up, I'm still getting that growth every year. When we get to a point where I am ready to move, let's say it's 5 years. I'm a first-time home buyer. I buy a house. It's a condo. Condos appreciate a little bit slower, but you know what? It's what I can afford. I'm starting out. I get myself a condo. I live there for 3 years. I sell it. I make $50,000 or $60,000 on top of what I bought it for after my expenses. I end up getting the equity that I originally put down when I bought the house back. And then I'm also getting any equity that I built by paying down that mortgage. So I'm getting income from 3 sources right here. Not only that, while I've lived in that house, I've gotten tax benefits as a homeowner. So I've paid the federal government less in taxes every year, keeping more of my money so that I can invest more in my 401k and plan for retirement. This is an essential foundation for any successful financial plan. You don't own your own house, then you're missing some of the best benefits that our government is structured to give you. All right.
So what about the market in Atlanta right now?
Well, right now the market everywhere is difficult. We have a lot of inventory because a lot of people can't afford a house, or they think they can't afford a house, or they can't afford the house that they really want. But then we get into
that's a separate issue.
That's a separate issue, but the psychology plays a part here.
It's highly emotional.
It is, because this is a primary residence. Primary residents are emotional. It's my first home. I'm gonna always love it and be a memory of it. You hated your first home. I looked at it as this is a great investment, and it was.
I didn't refute that part.
Yeah, you were able to see it. You understood, and that's why you went along with it. But you did not like it. No. You're an interior unit townhome.
I tolerated
4 miles away from campus, and
I tolerated it.
But it ended up building us a lot. And
my thinking was, we don't have children yet. We're not crowded. We have fur babies, little chihuahua.
We went through that phase.
I can deal with it in that instance. Could I deal with it now with 3 children? No. No way.
Well, 1,400 square feet of 3 children in a 2-bedroom. That's ridiculous.
No.
But
they are wild and free range.
So our inventory in Atlanta, we're up about 14% year over year. So we have more homes on the market. The average days on market is getting longer. Right now we're hovering around, a little over 30, up to 40 and 40 plus in different parts of the market, right? Every neighborhood's different. Sellers are now open to more concessions, more repairs. We're seeing a lot of homes take price reductions. Are they collapsing? No, but they're selling for what they would have either last year or maybe the year before.
It's like almost you're buying 1 or 2 years equity right now.
You're buying time.
The ones that are selling.
The one thing you can't buy in this world is time, unless you're talking about real estate. Because in a moment like this, you actually get an opportunity to buy time. We're looking at a property property right now with some clients that is listed at $530,000. It was sold at $515,000 2 years ago. So that's not a big spread for 2 years worth of appreciation. It's actually less than what it should be. And it's underpriced versus the comps and where it should be, but nothing's moving, so they've priced it to sell. Those are opportunities that you could take advantage of. You buy today, is your interest rate higher? Yeah. Are you going to be married to that interest rate? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe rates go down. If the payment is comfortable, then you buy the house, because the worst case scenario is you've locked in a mortgage for 30 years where you're comfortable in that payment. As inflation continues to go up, that mortgage devaluates the price of the home. The value in the home is going to continue to go up. Atlanta's population trends are expected to explode by 2060. By 2060, Cherokee County is expected to have like 1.2, I want to say Cherokee County is expected to have like 700,000-800,000 people. Gwinnett's going to be close to 1.2 million. Atlanta's going to be 1.3 million. This is just population. So we're attracting people. They're coming here for the climate, the jobs, the taxes, the transportation, and
laughable climate,
and the fact that we're awesome. Well, we don't have
snow. We don't have
rising
tornadoes,
seawaters.
Yeah,
like we have the port. We have all this stuff.
In a big sense, we have tiny little earthquakes, but we don't have those giant natural disasters that come every year.
It's an established area with ease of travel anywhere in the world because of Hartsfield, Jackson.
It's just hot.
It is. It is hot. It is hot. Yeah, you got to deal with that, and it's humid.
Air conditioning is a must here.
So, with all of these variables coming into play, real estate is still a smart play, or it's still a smart investment because it's the easiest and fastest way to growing generational wealth. Let's think of this right now. Right now, you are a renter. You are owning. You don't own a home. You've been subject to your landlord raising their price, not maintaining the house as they should. You've got 3 things that are broken in the house that you've told the landlord to come and fix, and they haven't. You've had rent increases, maybe not last year because things were a little tight, but you had rent increases every year before that. And once things get a little bit easier on cash, guess what? They're coming back. It's not going to get less expensive to live anywhere. And the property taxes, as those have gone up, have been passed through to tenants. So the landlords aren't paying more in tax, the tenants are, and that's in their rent. So in 5 years, you keep going down this path. Maybe you're paying $2,000 a month right now for your rent. 5 years, maybe you're paying $2,800,
sure, $2,700. It's market prices.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Your income is growing over that time, but you're not making more because you have to pay more. Now, let's talk about a scenario where we actually buy a house, okay? You're paying $2,000 a month in rent right now. You have, I don't know, let's call it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's in a convenient location, right? That's why you're paying that rent. You can't get a mortgage in that area for $2,000 a month. Maybe the mortgage costs $3,000 a month, and that's too much for you. Well, this is the inconvenience part of owning real estate because you don't get something for nothing. You gotta give in order to get the benefits. When we bought, it was moving to Acworth because we couldn't afford in East Cobb. So we bought in Acworth in a great area where we could afford. It was $300,000 in East Cobb. We got for $140,000 in Acworth. Made sense. So we bought in Acworth. That property doubled in value. Did it suck for our commute? Absolutely. We were driving like an hour and a half every day.
Did I like that one?
You actually didn't mind that house because of the front porch.
Yeah.
And I made sure that I asked you in the second house. I was like, can you live here? Can you enjoy this one? And you were like, yeah.
It was tolerable compared to the townhome for me.
Well, we were also at a different phase in life.
Yes.
And that factors in. So we bought the house in Acworth. And we lived there for 3 years, doing that hour-and-a-half commute every single day, taking the kids, driving them to East Cobb where they were in preschool, going to the office, doing it twice a day, multiple times a day, because you would have to pick them up in the afternoon because I was at the office. But what ended up happening is in that 3 years, that house appreciated by like $75,000. We were able to refinance because rates were still low, still afford that payment, take the money out, put that into another property. And we used those funds to buy and then do some work around our current house. We placed the tenant in that house, and then it still ended up making sense financially. The rent covered the mortgage payment. The tenants kept paying for us to keep that house. And as property taxes went up, so did the rent. And it goes up over time.
And then once you do that, you have the option of 1031ing it.
Which is how we ended up getting the properties in Alaska. So that property grew from let's call it $150,000 to $350,000. We sell it for $350,000. Oh, Chris, you made $200,000 on that property. You got to pay tax on that. Not in a 1031. In a 1031, you're deferring that tax benefit till later. So we did the 1031. That $200,000 goes into other properties as down payments. We run the numbers, make sure that the rents are going to cover all those payments, the maintenance, the expenses, the taxes, everything. They did. So we bought. And now we have a bigger portfolio. Is that going to happen for everybody? No. There's a lot of moving parts in these, and most people have jobs. They can't dedicate the time to do this. Fortunately, we can because this is our career. Now, let's say you are going to go ahead and buy. You move to an area where you can afford. You deal with that for a year, 2-3 years. In that time, prices have gone up. Your income has gone up. Your mortgage payment has not. So you're still paying the same amount. So you've been able to save that extra money every month. You've put some away for a rainy day. You've put money into your retirement. You've been able to take more vacations now because you're able to save more every day. Inflation hits. Now that mortgage is worth a lot less. Everything costs more except your mortgage payment. Renters are now struggling. They're talking about how they can't afford things, but you're not having that same problem because you own a house.
The ratio is going down. You're a 1-to-1 ratio when you're a renter, and then when you're a owner, the ratio every year as it increases,
you make more
it's in
and
your
more
favor.
and more because things get more expensive every year, but your mortgage payment stays the same. And if rates go down, then you take advantage of that. You refinance, keep the same rate in term, so you pay it off when you would normally, but now you're paying less every month because you're paying less in interest. So you can keep that schedule going. Or you can drop the interest rate, make the same payment every month, and pay it off a lot faster. So there's options here in how you do that. But let's say you live there for 5 years, you're tired of that year-and-a-half commute. You really want to be, or the hour and a half commute for the years that you're doing this. You've been able to set a lot of money aside now. Your house has appreciated. You bought it for $150. Let's say it's now worth $350 or $300, and well, we're probably not going to get that kind of growth again. But let's say it's worth $250. You've appreciated $100,000 over 3 years or 4 years. Now you're going to go and sell it. The money that you put into that house when you bought it, your down payment, you're going to get that back. Let's say we bought it for $5,000. So I get $5,000 back. That's my equity. Let's say I've paid off the mortgage another $7,000. Now I get that back as equity. So now I'm up to $12,000. But then the house is appreciated. It's grown from $150,000 to $250,000. So I'm going to go and get $100,000 there. Tax-free because it was my primary residence, by the way. You get an exclusion, $250,000 when you're single, $500,000 if you're married. No tax on that growth. So now I don't have $5,000. I have $112,000. I'm going to take that $112,000 and now I can go put 25% down on a $400,000 house. Or I can put 5% down on a $500,000 house and put the rest in the bank for retirement. There's options depending upon where rates are and how much debt you want to take on, or you can roll it all into the next house. Either way, what we want to do here is now I've used that $100,000, 112, to increase my standard of living. I can roll that into another mortgage for a more expensive house and now buy in a different area. Because originally I had $5,000 to buy my first house. Now I have 112. And in a 3 to 4 year period, that's an incredible financial improvement in anybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some things that need to happen, and a lot of people have some struggles with getting their ducks in a row. But homeownership, by and by, is the number one way to build wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a position financially where it's difficult, well, sometimes it gets darkest before the dawn, right? You have to go through the inconvenience to build that equity. We certainly did. We moved a lot. And you lived in houses that you didn't like, in areas that weren't exactly convenient for you. But we built our life around it, and the financial benefit that we got during that time of our lives set us up for success.
It was a lot easier to do before the kids were a certain age too. Now that they have their own friend groups and established their own connections.
Moving
with
would be
people,
insane now.
Moving would be a little bit difficult just for their psychology too, So I think we're staying put for a little while. I don't see us moving. Plus, I'm really tired of moving. That's a lot of stuff to do.
So I think we need to talk about what is, if you're going to be a first-time home buyer, what does it look like in today's market? Mm-hmm. Okay, because we did this in a different environment. We started out right before prices fell, and then we were able to buy our second home after most of the market had recovered, but was still on its way up.
But the principles don't change.
Principles don't change. The tactics do. The principles are you need to own real estate. You have to. And you have to keep that payment locked in and just let your finances ride. It's a long-term approach. You have to think 30, 40 years on this. Now, if you're thinking about buying today, well, Chris, I can't afford anything. The down payments, the prices have all gone up. Well, they have, but there's also opportunities where they haven't. Can't afford a single-family home? Get a condo. Are they going to appreciate? Yes, just not as fast as a single-family home. Are there more expenses? Sometimes, but there's benefits for those too. It's just about finding the right condo that fits your budget. You can't afford, if you can't afford a smaller place where you work, go further out. You can still get $200,000 homes in Douglasville all day long. Is the commute an hour to Atlanta? Yeah, it sucks. You're going to be at a bad time of day. Guess what? That's called putting your dues in. You're dealing with it while you're earning equity because you own a home. And guess what? In Douglas County, they qualify for USDA financing, which is zero down. You don't need to have saved up a down payment.
In our case, this might be a little bit extreme, but we went without heat for 2 winters. I don't recommend that.
No, I wouldn't
if
either.
You have kids, but we did it.
We had to. It was we made it work. There weren't jobs. It was the recession. It was 2009 and 10 and 11 were really hard years.
We got 1 quart of wood, and that was it.
You were still in school, so I was tethered to a college town, and with that many students, there were no jobs for postgrads because students were taking them cheaper. And we did what we had to get by. It sucked. We primarily lived off of your student loan.
Didn't go into debt.
We didn't. Nope. We ate a lot of pasta and frozen vegetables.
Hot dogs.
Lots of hot dogs and anything cheap that we could find that was relatively healthy. How can we get veggies in with something that we can live on maybe $25 per person per week at the grocery store?
I mean, yes, it was a little bit more, because of inflation. So it was like, say, $50 per person.
Yeah,
per week
today
now.
I would say, it's about $50 per person per week.
But
we were able to do it.
Planning, and it took a time because time is money too.
We ended up learning how to can our own vegetables. I would get a closing. We'd set a little bit of that money aside to invest in resources to make our quality of life better without improving or without increasing our costs. So that was huge as well.
And on that, I highly recommend canning your own carrots.
Oh my God, they're so good.
They're like candy.
They are better than anything you can get at the grocery store.
Oh, so much better.
So today you have opportunities. We have a real estate market. When we started, sellers weren't really negotiating that much. You're buying the house. You want it? Pay what the seller wants because it's a seller's market. Today, it's more of a buyer's market. There's balance. And I'm not talking about hotbed areas like Duluth, like downtown Decatur. I'm not talking about downtown Woodstock where, everybody with money just wants to throw their money at a wall and not think about things. They just want to be where it's popular. Screw popularity. Buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that needs work. Paint it yourself, live in it, make it yours, and hang on to it for a few years. Fix it up and get that equity yourself. Because here's the deal. You buy in an area where maybe you can get 100% financing, or you've saved up enough for like a FHA loan, which is 3.5% down.
In our case, it was the Georgia Dream program.
We did a conventional with a Georgia Dream conjunction, and we were able to make that work for us.
It was down payment assistance.
Yep, that gave us, back then it was $7,500 that we used for the down payment in the mortgage. And then we got the seller to cover the closing costs. So our out-of-pocket was negligible, maybe a couple of $1,000s into the inspection and moving costs. We didn't have a lot, so there wasn't a lot to spend on. Now, today, you can do the same thing. There are programs available for down payment assistance.
They're always changing depending on the climate, too.
There are sellers that are paying the closing cost concessions because the market is difficult. So you can still get into a house with zero down today. It's a question of, do you have the people that are giving you the right information? And is the house going to be a blessing, not a burden? Because you want that payment has to be a blessing because it's not going to go down. You can't buy a house and say, well, we can make $2,500 a month work for the next 6 months and hope that something's going to change. It won't. You have to be able to be comfortable with that payment. If you are, buy. And buy wherever you can find a payment that's comfortable. Is it inconvenient? Yeah, you're driving from McDonough to Atlanta every day. So too bad, so sad. You do what you have to do to build the foundation so that you're not going to be one of the people that are at risk of all of this economic uncertainty. When you own your assets, you're not at the whim of Wall Street who wants to make you rent America.
I mean, work pays off.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not easy.
No, it's certainly, it's not hard though, and that's the thing.
It's not.
It's not complicated.
I think what you mean is unattainable.
It's not unattainable.
It is hard. It's not unattainable.
It is a relatively simple process. The roadmap is there.
Was vet school hard? Yes.
Yes.
Was it unattainable?
For a lot of people, yes.
A lot of people, yes, but no.
Absolutely unattainable.
Yeah.
There are people that have been applying for 7-8 years to get in that never have. So for a lot of people, it was unattainable. Yep. Real estate is not. You need 620 for your credit. You need 3.5% down. And you need to be able to afford the payment and be able to commute to your work from wherever you can afford that payment. You do that, I promise you, you're setting yourself up for success. During the whole pandemic, we had a lot of people on Wall Street talking about what their investment strategy was, and they're in the real estate sector. And their strategy is to build enough that America can rent Main Street. They want you to rent your 3-bedroom, 2-bath, white picket fence with 2.5 kids and a dog. That's what they want. And if you're in that camp where you are renting the American dream, then you are putting yourself in a position where you are at risk to the whims of whatever happens in the market. And that's something that's, one, it's a risk. You don't want that. And two, it's going to hurt a lot of people over the foreseeable future. You sound like a mother
harping on that.
I care about this. This is something I've taught people finance since I was still in college.
Yes, you did.
I care about people making smart decisions, and it's that care that has led me to to really build this company the way it was, to be outspoken, to even be on video and do a podcast. Why the hell would I waste my time doing this?
Yeah.
It's because we want you to make smart decisions. We want you to have those resources and to know what's on the other side.
Yeah. Corporate America is learning this stuff, and why shouldn't you?
Exactly. So if you want to know what this looks like for you, it's not the same for everybody. There's a different plan. There's, different recommendations for people based off of where you are, where you work, what your goals are, where you are in life. Owning the house is the number one thing. And now there's times where I've told people not to own a house. One of my own fraternity brothers today, we're in a music league together, and I told him not to buy a house about 10 years ago. Now he owns a house and he's, happily engaged or close to being married. And they're doing great. But he ran the numbers. He knew he wanted to buy a house. He ran the numbers. He goes, Chris, I think I have about $100 a month left over that I can put aside towards savings and make this work. I said, buddy, you do not want to own a house if you only have $100 margin. Don't do it, because you're going to get in there. And unless you have somebody who's going to help you out, a family member, something like that, who's going to give you money to fix things as they go bad.
A
roommate,
if
maybe.
You can, depending on county
we were looking at lofts. You couldn't put a roommate in here. This was right out of college for him, but and it was a good decision, because about 6 months later, after he rented a place, he got a job opportunity and left the state, and he would have lost so much money because you can't sell a house that fast.
No.
So it has to make sense for you. Your budget, again, blessing, not a burden. Make sure that you are looking at that, because it only gets better. If you can afford the house, it only gets better. And I promise you it gets better. If you make smart decisions, you have a house with good systems, you're budgeting for them. We help people with that. We let you know this is about what this costs. This is the lifespan of these things, so that you can kind of get a plan and know what's coming.
That's about it for today. I mean,
yeah,
we've covered a lot. I mean,
it is a lot. And if you are curious how this looks like for you, we would love to just have a conversation. Reach out to us. Our office number is 770-509-0265, Select Realty. You want to talk about what this looks like, about what the resources are, how much money is available for you for a down payment, what the mortgage process looks like. We have these resources. We're going to get you the answers, and they're going to be bespoke to your unique situation. Don't leave this up to any agent that you find on the internet. You have to pick wisely, because there's plenty of agents out there that are just not equipped to have these conversations. I know I've trained over 220 of them, and some of them are really great, and some of them are not so much. But if you're not going to have this conversation with us, have it with a pro. Have it with somebody who's equipped to tell you the financials. Talk to the mortgage lender. Build with somebody that you like, and trust.
But here's the thing. Financial advisors are great, but they only advise on REITs, right? I mean,
if you're talking about that kind of, yes, financial advisors can also talk to you about, whether you should own a house personally or not, and the benefits that go with that. Talk to your CPA about what's there. If you don't have one, just know from what I tell you and from all of the books that have been written on real estate that it is the way to go. You don't own a house? Own a house. That needs to be your number one goal in life. You should be working towards that. You're dealing with health issues, understand that. But work on owning a house.
Well, that's about it for today. Heavy mothering.
I feel like it.
Cluck, cluck.
Cluck.
Anyways, I am Celine Evans, and
I'm Chris Evans. Please like, share, subscribe. Share this with your friends. If you're a past client of us, give us a review. We'd love it. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.